Sometimes you just need simple in life. A simple button to toggle your lights. We have all these voice assistants that can help us out, but sometimes they just don't work out that great, or maybe you have someone else sleeping next to you and you don't want to yell out across the room. Okay, turn off the bedroom lights.
Okay, turning off 33 lights.
Okay, turn off the lights.
Sure, turning 49,921 lights off.
No! Let's show you how to do a Wi-Fi plug as a status light and a button. We're going to use the GoSun little round plugs. And no, it's not going to be your typical little video and just how to plug these in and say plug a lamp into it. We're going to use these for much more. So what you'll want to do is use the to-you convert process, which I'll link up above. If you haven't already done so, make sure you have it on your Wi-Fi and have Tasmota on it, because we'll be doing some simple little commands with the console. So the great thing about these GoSun plugs, there's a relay inside that we won't be using. The button, which will give us a short press and a long press action. Plus there's two LEDs inside. There's one red and one blue, which of course also you can combine them both to make purple. So we can use that as a type of status light. So yes, you could do this with several other little products, such as a Wemos D1 Mini, but this one already has a power supply. It's already packaged up for you. It's sealed up, ready to plug in, ready to go. You don't have to make a 3D case or anything if you don't have access to that. So it's a real simple Wi-Fi plug that won't have the battery go dead from showing the status light too long or just being used too much. And these are lightning fast, being on MQTT and always on. So let's go to the console and configure it up. So once you've done your GoSun plug on to-you convert, if you haven't done to-you convert before, definitely check out the to-you convert video. I'll leave the link in the description below. It's a really simple process. You can flash these plugs over to Tasmota. You don't have to do any type of soldering. You don't have to open them or anything like that. It's a little simple process to do an over-the-air flash. And as of the recording of this video, these GoSun plugs are not patched for the to-you convert process. So we can still do these plugs with to-you convert, as I haven't had an issue doing these plugs. And of course, we'll leave all the links in the description of the video below. So once you have it on your Wi-Fi, we're going to need to go in and do some configuration of the plug itself. So first you need to go to the template page on the Tasmota wiki, and we'll start out, we'll go by the US plugs and scroll down to the GoSun WP3. Copy this template to the clipboard. We'll go back to the GUI, go to configuration, go to configure other, and we'll paste it over the current template, and we'll click the activate check mark. While we're here, we'll also put the friendly name. We'll call it plug night stand 2. Hit save. You will notice the red LED is blinking on the plug because it's not connected to MQTT right now. To correct that issue, we'll go to configuration and then configure MQTT. Once you're in here, you'll need to enter in your host, which will be your IP address typically of your HAS.io or your other MQTT server. Leave the port the same, leave the client the same, put in your user ID, put in your password. Now for the topic, I make it very simple, and we'll copy the friendly name into the topic and leave the full topic the same, and then hit save. Wait for it to restart. You'll see the red LED blinking a few times. If you want to check to make sure it is connected to MQTT, click the console, and you should see just MQT:connected. Now if you want to test things with the plug, we're going to use a simple circuit tester, and we'll plug it into the plug. And you can see both lights do light up when we toggle it on and off. And you can also hear the relay click on and off. But for this case, we're not going to be using the relay at all. We actually want to set the relay where it doesn't turn on unless we explicitly come in here and turn it on for some reason. So in the Tasmota wiki, there's a command called power on state. What we'll need to do is we'll apply power on state space 0, which is keep relays off after power up. So power on state space 0, and it isn't case sensitive. And you should see the command come back to you setting it to 0. So because we're wanting to use this as a type of Wi-Fi button, we'll need to change this from button to a switch. And the easy way to do that is we'll go in and change the template we just applied. So go to configuration, configure template this time, and you'll notice we have GPIO 4 as button 1. We're going to change that to switch 1. And while we're here, we'll also change LED 1 and LED 2 to relays, and we'll explain that in a couple steps later, so just stick with me. So we'll do relay 2I and relay 3I. Now we will leave relay 1 attached just so we know that that relay is always off and it doesn't float for some reason and get turned on. So we'll save it. Now you'll notice you have 3 relays on the top. Relay 1 still does the actual relay that turns the power on. We'll want to leave that one on off. Relay 2, you'll notice, turns on the red LED. And then relay 3 turns on the blue LED. They may look kind of faint due to the lighting of the video, but they won't be really bright. That way doesn't light up your whole room and keep you up at night. So they're kind of perfect in the way, I think, for the LEDs. Now if you turn them both on, as I mentioned before, you do get kind of a purple color. So we'll turn those back off because let's go try the button. Now first what we're wanting to do is we're going to want to send an MQTT command to a custom topic. Now some people may get confused with what an actual topic is. It's not that difficult. A topic is just, look at it as kind of a channel or an address. And you can make up anything you want, and you can also do multiple segments, which is divided by a /. In this example, we're going to use one topic with 2 different payloads, which would be the short press and the long press. So instead of cheating and jumping right to it, I'm going to show you how we figure out the state of a button and figure out your switch modes. So first what you'll want to do is go into the console, and we'll do a rule 1, and you'll say on switch 1 state do publish, and we'll say night stand 2, so we're using this on the second nightstand, /press. Of course you can use whatever topic you want, and the payload is actually going to be value wrapped in percentage signs. And what that means is it's going to take whatever state is sent from switch 1 over to the payload. We'll do end on. Now to turn that rule on, we'll do rule 1 1, and I'll turn that rule on. Now we'll try and we'll push the button 1 time. Now you'll notice we get 2 presses, which are 2. That's due to the switch mode, which we need to change the switch mode because this isn't an actual switch, it's an actual button. So back in the wiki, if you search for switch mode, you'll find that it's defaulted to 0, which is just a toggle. We don't want that. We're actually going to want the long press and short press. Typically most of them will use a switch mode of 5, but you may run into some that will have a switch mode of 6. Let's try switch mode 5 first, and we'll test it. So switch mode 1 5, and you should get your confirmation showing switch mode 1 was set to 5. Now let's push the button and try it. Now you'll notice we only get 1 message, which is a 2. Now one other option that I like to set is set option 32. So we'll do a search for set option 32. Set option 32 is it sets the time it takes to hold down the button for a long press. If you make it too long, it's going to make it hard for the user to use it. So typically I like to do something anywhere from a 7, an 8, or a 10. Play around with it to see what you like for your usage. You definitely don't want the default of 4 seconds unless there's something really weird. So we'll do a set option 32, which is 7/10 of a second. And then we'll try it. We'll push it once. We get the 2. We'll push and hold. And we get the 3. Now, with knowing that, and it works, we can now get 2 different actions off of the one button. So we'll change our rule, since we're done testing it, to say rule 1 on switch 1 state equals 2 do publish night stand 2 / press short as the payload. End on. And then we're going in the same buffer, we'll do a second rule of on switch 1 state equals 3 do publish night stand 2 / press long. End on. Enter. So now when we press it one time, you'll see MQTT sends over nightstand 2 / press is the topic, the payload short. Long press, nightstand 2 press, and the payload is long. So that's all there is to it for the setup of doing your MQTT button in Tasmota. Now, one example we're going to show is we're going to show it in NodeRed of how to toggle a light in. Okay. Great. Plus, we'll also show some examples just straight using rules from Tasmota itself. Or you can also do this with Home Assistant with some various automations. Let's go ahead and check it out with doing some Tasmota rules first. So in this example, we have a Blitzwolf RGBW LED strip, because we'll toggle the light on and off, plus we're going to try to cycle through some colors. So typical thing, you can turn it on and off and change the LED strip using the Tasmota console. So of course in this example, we're using this LED strip, but you could be using any various lights in your home or lamps, or you could have it control different automations. You can really do whatever you want to use this button to control some sort of action in your home. So first we're going to grab the MQTT topic from this LED strip. So it's simply capital LED and then strip, since topics are case sensitive. We'll leave that first rule 1 in place, and we're just going to do a rule 2. So in rule 2, we'll do on switch 1 state equals 2, which 2 is a short press, do publish. Now, since this is a Tasmota device, we'll be using the standard CMND for command / then the topic, which is again case sensitive. We'll do a power and then toggle. The payload isn't case sensitive, but I like to make it uppercase, and it's easier to read when I'm reading it at a later time. End on to end the rule, and then we'll do rule 2, 1 to turn it on. So real simple. Now we'll reach over, push the button one time, and the LED strip turns on. Now you can notice in the console, it's also sending that MQTT short, plus it's also sending the toggle to the light, so you could toggle many things at one time. You could also do a backlog of MQTT publishes if you'd like, or I've shown before, using a different group topic, you can turn multiple things on by just one publish to a group topic of multiple lights. Push it again, it toggles right off. Really simple. And these aren't connected. It's simply a simple Wi-Fi button that's very fast to turn on any other light in your house. So let's flip on over to NodeRed and check out doing a flow off of the long press. So if you're new to NodeRed, definitely check out my series I did on the basics of NodeRed getting started. It's very simple. It's easy to learn because it's a visual experience to do all your automations. Of course, you can do this with your Home Assistant automations using YAML code, but I'm going to show it using NodeRed because I'm more of a visual learner and it makes it easier to see. So first what we'll need to do is we'll need to subscribe to that topic that we showed of doing the long press and the short press. So the way you do that is if you drag out a MQTT subscribe, and then to get the topic, we'll need to get that off of the rules, so we'll copy and paste that from the Tasmota console. If you look under rule 1, if you just simply type rule 1 and hit enter, it'll show the rule and scroll over and we'll grab nightstand 2/press. Because remember, it is case sensitive. Paste in the topic, leave everything the same and hit done. And now we have a subscription to anything that publishes to this topic. Now if you remember, based off the rules, we did a short and we did a long. So now we need to make a switch in NodeRed to determine if we did a short or a long. So scroll down to switch, we'll drag switch out, we'll connect it up, and now we'll say when it equals short, and we'll add another for long, and we'll give it a name of short or long. Now you'll notice off of the node you have short and then long. So you can put your actions of short and then long. So if you already follow along, you can notice that if you don't want to use a rule straight from one switch to another, and say you've got to turn on, say, a Zigbee bulb, or you want to turn on something else inside Home Assistant, you could actually just jump from here and put in some call service nodes in directly to Home Assistant. So really, with the beauty of this, with the long and the short press, you can come up with whatever automation you need to do in your home. So for our long press, we're actually going to use, for this example, is a random. We'll drag it out and we'll connect it up. And you can place these however you want it. It's just for cosmetics. So for random, we want to choose a random number. Now, it does make a difference on the range we use here. So under commands in the Tasmota wiki, we're going to set the color of the LED strip. So the color, you notice it wants a 1 through a 12. So we're going to make a random number from 1 to 12. From 1 to 12. And it does need to be a whole number, because if you do send something with decimals over the Tasmota for the color, it does something weird. I found that out another way of trying to do some rules. So we'll call it name random 1 to 12. And that's going to set it in the payload. So the payload is going to be actually the payload for the command of color. So it simply would be just like you're typing color, space, and then picking a random number yourself from 1 to 12, and it'll change the color on the LED strip. You could do various other automations for if you want to cycle through them in order. You could just add one to a number, etc., and do it that way. So we're going to send this over to an MQTT publish over to the LED strip. And the topic, again, we'll get it from the Tasmota console of the LED strip. The topic is just LED strip. Now, it's going to be CMND for command. We'll paste the topic, and then the command actually we're going to send is color. Now, we don't want to send any retains or anything like that, so just leave everything the same. And just hit done. So in this flow, you can easily see that whenever a MQTT message comes across from nightstand 2/press, is it a short or long? Well, it's a long, so we'll send it down this decision path. We'll pick a random number, 1 through 12. We'll send that number over to the LED strip. Let's go ahead and deploy it, test it out. Now we still have our short press, so we can still send that by pushing that light on and off. And that goes directly from the Tasmota device to Tasmota device, which we could have done it here in NodeRed, but we did it with some rules instead. Let's go ahead and do a long press. And you'll see it cycles through the colors just by doing long presses. Now, of course, since in NodeRed, you can really do whatever you like, which I mentioned before. You could come in here and do a call service and do it off the short press instead of using any Tasmota rules. And simply opening up the service, you can call all kinds of different things, whatever you can come up with. Like, say for instance, you want to call a certain scene, you want to call a certain script, you want to call a certain shell command. There's tons of different things you could do simply by having a Wi-Fi button to create an action that you simply pushing on your nightstand or whatever in easy reach of this plug, and it's all in a built-in package. And one last thing, don't forget, we did change the LEDs to be able to be remotely controlled for status lights. So while we're in NodeRed, let's just go check that out right quick. You could do something in Home Assistant using automation, say for like I've done with the washer and dryer in the past, and you could have these LEDs change to show statuses, say a red for if your dryer is running, and then say a blue when your washing machine is running, or if they're both running, then the color would be purple. And you can simply see from your room, is the washer and dryer still running, or which one is running? Maybe you thought maybe you missed the voice notification. So let's check how to do and control these LEDs real quick in NodeRed. So we'll drag out an MQTT publish. The MQTT publish is going to be for the power 2 and power 3 because that's the LEDs of the smart plug. So the topic's going to be actually command, and we'll copy and paste again the topic, plugs underscore nightstand 2. Now we'll do one for power 2. We'll go ahead and copy and paste this for the other one. We'll drag another MQTT publish, do power 3. And then now we're just going to do some simple injects. Now, of course, you'd want to do based off of a status or of a certain sensor, and you can do that using different events or polling states or triggering off of different states in Home Assistant or various other MQTT actions you like. Just depends on what you need to do and adapt it for your automation that you're doing in your home as you want to see some various status lights. So for this inject, we're just going to do the payload, which is a string, just a simple string of letters. We'll do an on. We'll leave the topic and everything blank. We'll copy and paste this one and do an off. We'll highlight these, Control C, Control V, and we'll paste another set. And then we'll connect them up. And then we'll deploy them. So now when we try to hit on, you get the red LED. Let's turn on the blue. Now you get purple. We'll turn off blue, and we'll turn off red. We'll turn blue on. So you could drag in a number of different things, such as say a door sensor. Say when any door on your home is open, if you want to instantly look and see if someone left the door open without having to call out to anything or any voice assistant, you can instantly look over and see if you have a color blue on. So definitely, if you come up with different automations to do in changing of colors or the status lights, definitely share with us below down in the comments in the video. Now, one other little hack that you may not realize and you think of in these smart plugs is, what if you need more than one button, you need more than one status light? Well, just stack them together. But don't forget, in the very first one before it, if you're doing 2 or more, you will need to have the relay on inside to get power. So once they're simply stacked together, now you've got one button and two buttons. Plus you've got the two status lights. So you've got a total of 4 different actions simply off of 2 buttons, and the cost is still fairly low and definitely easy to implement because you don't have to create anything if that is kind of out of your realm. Now, of course, if you're more of an advanced user, you could 3D print you a box with multiple switches and do a Wemos D1 Mini inside, etc. But this is just off-the-shelf product that you can simply implement in a real quick fashion to get button or multiple buttons and multiple status lights. So this probably isn't something you've thought about on what to use a smart plug for. You typically thought, hey, let's just use it to plug in a lamp or something else. But kind of flipping the script on it and use it as an easy Wi-Fi button. And I use one in my bedroom on both sides of the bed, and it definitely helps us change the lights real simple without having to holler out to any voice assistants or anything when someone else is sleeping. So let me know if you've done any other automations such as this with smart plugs, and definitely share it in the comments below. So I'd like to thank everyone, including the Patreon subscribers. If you're interested, the link is in the description below. Definitely become a subscriber if you're not already one, and click the bell icon so you can catch our next live stream or video. And y'all take care.